My name is Karen Chalo. I am a communications professional, and I'm pleased to be the one that facilitates this module, Effective Communication and Advocacy for Integrity. And this module will help us develop and improve our communication and advocacy skills in order to promote integrity and combat corruption in our country. It is my hope that this session will be as interactive and engaging as possible, because as you all know, this will be a communication class. So we'll be exchanging ideas and information. And also we'll be making use of the meeting group chat. That's why you're seeing me actively sending some texts that I just want to confirm whether I am audible enough and that you are concentrating on what I am talking about, right? So we'll be making use of that group chat. And once again, welcome to this module. If you can hear me, please chat. Please respond with that thank you in the meeting group chat. Just type welcome. No, just type thank you in the group chat so that I may know that I am audible enough and that you are also listening. Yeah, thank you for those who are responding. So first off, I'd like someone to read the topic there. One of the participants to just read the topic.
Effective communication and advocacy for integrity.
Thank you for that. And once again, I'd like to usher you to this module by giving you the overview, whereby I will focus on developing and improving your communication and advocacy skills in order to promote integrity and combat corruption. And well, communication and advocacy are two distinct but interconnected concepts. So communication has the key aspect of information sharing, listening and understanding, building relationships, and persuasion. So communication is the process of exchanging information and ideas between individuals. And it also involves the transmission and interpretation of information through various channels, such as a verbal type, written. It could be a written, non-verbal, or digital means. So in the context of promoting integrity and ethical behavior, communication tends to play a pivotal role in shaping attitudes, influencing behaviors, and fostering a culture of transparency and accountability. So as a sharing, whereby you just, and that is why, as I began this presentation, I told you that we'll be making use of the meeting group chat. So the difference majorly is that communication is the broader concept that encompasses the exchange of information and ideas, while advocacy is just a specific form of communication. So I was explaining how communication and advocacy are two distinct but interconnected concepts that play an important role in promoting integrity messages. So I'd like a participant, to read out the objectives of this module so that we may get to understand what this module entails us to do. So one of you to just read the objectives that are displayed on the screen, please.
May I read this?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Objective number 1 is to develop effective communication skills. Number 2, understand the power of storytelling and persuasive communication. Number 3, building a compelling advocacy campaign. Number 4, develop conflict resolution and negotiation skills.
Well, thank you. Thank you for reading them out loud for us. So those 4 will be our objectives and mandates. And at the end of the module, you are expected to have developed effective communication skills for effective leadership, and also understand the power of storytelling and persuasive communication. And I'll be expecting you to be able to build a compelling advocacy campaign to raise awareness about integrity issues. And lastly, I will also enable you develop effective conflict resolution and negotiation skills. So those are our objectives for the day. Another participant to read the outcome, please. Someone else to read the outcome for this module.
Okay, I will read.
Okay, thank you.
Demonstrate improved communication skills to promote integrity messages. Understand the importance of storytelling in engaging audiences and conveying integrity messages. Develop a comprehensive advocacy campaign plan to raise awareness about integrity issues. Understand strategies for resolving conflicts peacefully, effective negotiation techniques, and building win-win solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So the 4 are the outcome that this will show that we'll have understood this module. So we'll be expected to demonstrate improved communication skills, understand the importance of storytelling. We'll deal with all these. The 4 mostly will be dealt in throughout the module. So those are the 4 outcomes that I will have expected you. If you understand if you understand those 4 concepts, that means that this module will have understood this module, and it will shape your perception in communication and advocacy. So this is the second slide: communication for integrity. So the role of communication in promoting integrity and ethical behavior. We have 5 roles that communication plays in promoting ethical behavior along with integrity. So I'd like one of us to read the first role, and then I'll explain it. No, I'd like someone to read the first role and then explain what they understand with that. And before that, let us type in the meeting group chat awareness and education as the first role. Let us type that, awareness and education. Thank you for those who are responding. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Eunice, Emmanuel, Melissa. Let us all type awareness and education, and then someone to explain what they understand by the term awareness and education as a role of communication.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear
Emmanuel,
me?
yes. Yes. Am I
Okay.
loud and clear from your end?
Yeah.
So on awareness, awareness basically in the society is about various issues.
Okay.
So increasing awareness in society about various issues is critical. This could include probably awareness about social issues, environmental concern, etc. Basically, when people are aware, they are more likely to engage in informed discussion, make better decisions, and contribute positively in their communities. Whereas in education, education is a foundation of personal and societal development. It basically equips individuals with knowledge, skills, and critical thinking abilities. A well-educated population tends to have higher levels of innovation, productivity, issues around social cohesion. Basically, education plays a key role in shaping values and ethics, including principles. That's the
Okay.
match from my end.
Okay. Thank you. What's your name?
Emmanuel.
Oh, Emmanuel, thank you for your input. And that is exactly that, because effective communication raises awareness about the importance of integrity and ethical behavior. So I like your input because it really matches what it really explains how the role of communication in promoting integrity is displayed. So it educates individuals and organizations about the standards, values, and principles that guide ethical conduct. Thank you for that, Emmanuel. Someone else to read the second role. And then after the participant reads, I'd like all of us to type in the meeting group chat the second role as displayed on the screen. Someone to read that aloud and then explain what they understand by that. Someone to read the second role, please.
The second role says transparency and disclosure.
Yes, thank you. Miriam, what do you understand by that term? How does communication play a role in
Okay. Communication informs transparency in a manner that it promotes accountability, openness, and truthfulness. Yeah, that's how I can understand it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, Miriam. Thank you for your input. So communication facilitates the sharing of information and promotes transparency and openness, just like Miriam had said, in effective decision-making processes. It also enables the disclosure of relevant information, ensuring that the relevant stakeholders have access to timely information as well as accurate information to make informed decision. So that is how communication plays a role in transparency and disclosure. I'd like someone else to read the third role and let us all type in the meeting group chat.
The third role is ethical guidelines and codes of conduct.
Okay, what's your name, dear?
I'm Lillian.
Thank you, Lillian. So how does communication play a role in the, how is the third role help in promoting integrity and ethical behavior?
On ethical guidelines and code of conduct.
Yes.
So from my seat, I think communication is crucial in ethical guidelines and code of conduct in various fields, as it plays a central role in promoting transparency, trust, accountability. So I can give a few ways,
Yes.
probably to demonstrate this. On clarity and transparency, particularly on clarity and transparency. So ethical guidelines often emphasize the importance of clear and transparent communication. This means that information should be presented in a way that is easily understandable by all consumers that were targeted. Ambiguous or misleading communication many at a time leads to misunderstanding and ethical lapses. I don't know that is a good case study to demonstrate, or I can give a practical example.
Please do, please do.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. I think the biggest issue here in Kenya is around cost of living currently, with the high rise in tax rates all going through. And while it's us paying taxes as Kenyans is a constitutional obligation as citizens of the country, because we primarily contribute for our own development cases. The way the government is communicating it to us, it looks so burdenish, and many of us aren't buying into the idea of taxes and remitting taxes. The citizen, by and large, feels like the government is punishing us, while it's on the flip side, every coin that we remit primarily gets back to us through services and goods from the government. So that's slight lack of clarity and transparency from the government when it comes to issues around taxation is a big deal currently, and there is a lack of cohesion between the community down here and people who sit as civil servants. So we think we remit money, they eat them. Well, I think that's a clear scenario where clarity and transparency has missed, and it's a huge opportunity cost that we can't account for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I also try explaining it in maybe another version?
Yes, please. But before that, I'd like to get the gentleman's name.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Oh, thank you, Emmanuel, for your input. Yes, Miriam.
How I understand it in relation to communication. Using a practical example, for example, any organization or in Kenya, it is governed by the ethical guidelines and code of conduct. For example, Youth for Integrity Building has a constitution that guides its employees or how they must supposed to behave themselves for the promotion of integrity. Institution has a vision, mission, and also has the code of conduct that states how it will be operated. And this is clearly explained through communication. For example, misbehave or break the guidelines and also goes of conduct, then you will hear him or her, someone that did you read communication or code of conduct and on ethical guidelines. So for me, I can say communication for integrity, it helps in promotion of ethical guidelines, like it informs how members are supposed to behave, and also ensure that they behave in a manner that promotes integrity. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Miriam, for your input. I'm not sure whether it was my network, but it seems that your connection had a problem. But what I've gotten from your input is that communication helps in disseminating ethical guidelines and codes of conduct in organizations just like yours, right? So both inputs are correct, only that Miriam emphasized on the organizational aspect, which is fine because communication is essentially helps in reinforcing ethical guidelines and codes of conduct. It also ensures that individuals and organizations understand and adhere to ethical standards. and this leads to promoting a culture of integrity. And Miriam is right. When you sign as an employee, when you get into a company or a corporate, there's a code of conduct that you sign, and on how you're going to adhere to, the rules and regulations of that corporate, and how you're going to be integral, and that's how you're going to uphold integrity while at it. So communication plays that role. The fourth role is ethical dilemma resolution, and communication provides a platform, sort of, for discussing and resolving ethical dilemmas. It allows individuals to express their concerns and engage in ethical decision-making processes. So let us write the fourth role down on the meeting group chat: ethical dilemma resolution. Let us write the fourth role down. Yes, thank you for the responses. The fifth role is reporting and whistleblowing. Or before we go to the fifth, I have not asked someone to explain how they understand by the term ethical dilemma resolution, or how communication plays a role, how communication is essential in resolving ethical dilemmas.
Hi.
Yes?
Communication plays a key role in resolving ethical dilemmas in a way that it clarifies values, it identifies dilemmas, issues around where the dilemma issues actually exist. It promotes an ethical culture. Communication is also key in resolving conflict through dialogue. I think dialogues are quite popular in Kenya, especially in the political space. Communication ensures decision making and transparency. Issues around public participation and involvement of stakeholders. It is also an enabler of feedback mechanism. By and large, effective communication is also essential for understanding, addressing, and collaboratively resolving ethical issues within the organization and societies at large. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is that Emmanuel? I'd
Yours
like to know.
truly.
Yours truly. Okay. Thank you so much for your input. Let us go to the fifth rule, and that is reporting and whistleblowing. Let us all write reporting and whistleblowing. And this is quite an interesting role, because I know most of you do not know that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has an anonymous whistleblower system on their website. I know majority of you do not know that, but effective communication channels encourage individuals to report unethical behavior and wrongdoing. And our very own EACC has an anonymous system as an anonymous whistleblower system, whereby you can report any corruption case anonymously for them to deal with that. So it is confidential. And me sharing this, I would like, I'm encouraging you to, if you see any corruption case, feel free to log into their website and then report that through that system. That is part of us fighting corruption and, upholding integrity. because the system is safe and it is confidential, and no one will know whether you are the one who reported. So it is a safe space for whistleblowers to come forward and raise concerns and facilitate the detection and prevention of ethical misconduct. Okay. So I know that most of you do not know that, but it is, I'm pleased to have informed you that. So as you all write reporting and whistleblowing down, can someone please explain how they understand that role and how communication plays, how communication is essential in that area? Or do you know of any other systems that are critical? You know, it could be that,
Yes.
you know, a corporate. If you know of a corporate, please, you can share with us.
Can I try, Karen?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. On reporting and whistleblowing in relation to communication, using an example in Kenya, we have journalists in Kenya who openly, every time they keep us informed, they keep us in their know-how. For example, relating to corruption in the county. A recent example, if I can use, the latest trending is the embattled Meru County. The issues around Kawira Mwangaza, you know, the media has always been there to inform us and also to make the public know of what is happening, the steps to be undertaken, and we also saw it going to the Senate. So, you know, without the media and also without reporting this, whether in social media, whether through any other means, the public will have not known. But through reporting, it informs communication for integrity. It tries to expose, you know, the dangers of engaging in corruption and also misappropriation of funds, hence promoting integrity. And on whistleblowing, for example, we have an office of the ombudsman, you know, which is an office set out, you know, for the people to go out and maybe report out on issues that have taken them as far as judicial issues are concerned. So it is there for us to members can, you know, go there anonymously report and action will be report. It's kind of a channel that tries to promote integrity. Thank you.
Miriam, you have very nice insights, but your internet connection is not that strong. But what I've gotten is that the Office of Ombudsman has a sort of a system that provides safe space for whistleblowers to report corruption cases. So that is another example that we can add. So I had mentioned the EACC, and Miriam has mentioned the Office of Ombudsman having you know, a platform, creating a platform for whistleblowers and for the members of the public to report corruption cases. Anyone who knows of any other before we proceed?
Can I add something else?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I could also add some input about clear communication. It ensures that the reported cases and information is conveyed, making it easier for follow-up and the administration to address such issues. Then also for effective communication, it provides a channel for individuals to convey concerns and issues, and also unethical behaviors. Just to add on, the whistleblowing part, it is the confidentiality part, it makes it a safe space or a safe environment for most people like to hide their identities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is that Emmanuel?
It's Philip.
It's Philip. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for your input. So, yeah, those are some.
Can I add an input?
Yes, please. What's your name?
Hello, my name is John,
Yes.
and I have an input on the role of communication reporting. And in my own understanding, I say
Okay.
that communication helps to make reports easily understood in a proper way without any contradiction. And on the part of whistleblower, a whistleblower need to possess a good communication skills in order to be competent enough. Because if he or she has a bad communication, then there is also a chance that nobody will believe what he or she is saying just because of poor communication. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your input. Please let the admin go back to slide 2 so that we may finish up with that second part. No, yeah. So let me go through the power of effective communication in influencing attitudes and behavior. So effective communication lies in its ability to influence attitudes and behavior in the following 7 powers, so to call them. So shaping perceptions. Let us type in the meeting group chat, shaping perceptions, and then I will explain how communication shapes perceptions. Shaping perceptions. Let us all type that in the meeting group chat. So communication can shape how individuals perceive ethical behavior, by highlighting the benefits and positive outcomes of integrity and ethical conduct. Communication can also influence individuals to adopt ethical values and behavior. So that is one of the powers in which effective communication influences attitudes and behavior. And the second one is building trust. So let us type building trust as the second power of effective communication. Building trust. So effective communication fosters trust among individuals and organizations. Transparent and open communication fosters credibility, and it also strengthens relationships and encourages ethical behavior. So effective communication will foster credibility because, if you speak with facts, then people will tend to believe your information. So that is how communication plays a role in building trust among individuals and organizations. So let us go to the third. The third power is that communication plays a vital role in establishing social norms and influencing collective behavior. So let us type in the group chat norms and social influence, and then I'll explain how communication influences norms and social influences. So, by promoting ethical communication through the different communication channels, which I gave examples earlier, individuals are more likely to conform to these norms and adopt and motivation to uphold integrity. The fourth power is motivation and inspiration. So communication can motivate and inspire people to act ethically, and that is by showcasing positive role models, sharing success stories, and highlighting the benefits of ethical behavior. So communication can create a sense of purpose and motivation to uphold integrity. For example, if I give you a story of someone who beat corruption, and like the story of Spencer Sankale. Do you know the story of Spencer Sankale, the whistleblower for Masai Mara? Is it Masai Mara University? Yeah, Masai Mara University. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, do.
Yeah. So if I give you the story of how, Spencer Sankale was a champion in holding integrity, he stood by his values that he is not a corrupt individual. And through him being integral, he saved a whole university. And right now he was appointed as a member of a tax tribunal by the Chief Justice. So doing good, being integral, being honest, really pay. And through them is how we get to establish social norms and influence collective behavior. Because from the media we got to know of his story, and he's part of the success stories that we share around to motivate and inspire other people. And that links as to the fifth power, which is behavior reinforcement. So let us all type behavior reinforcement. And communication serves as a tool or a platform to reinforce ethical behavior. Earlier on, Miriam had given us an example of how, employees get to sign the codes of conduct and ethical guidelines when they start, when you want to work in an organization. And communication plays a vital role in, serving as a tool for such kind of reinforcement. Regular reminders and messages and campaigns that emphasize on the importance of integrity and ethical conduct can help individuals stay committed to ethical principles and make ethical choices in their actions. So communication is really pivotal when it comes to behavior reinforcement among individuals, in corporates, so that and that really influences their attitudes and their ethical behavior. The sixth is social learning. Communication allows for the sharing of experiences and stories and success stories. So through communication, individuals can learn from others' experiences and adopt ethical behaviors that have proven successful in similar situations. Right? So on to the last point is accountability and consequences. Let us all type accountability and consequences. Accountability and consequences. Through effective communication, individuals understand the consequences of unethical behavior. By clearly communicating the expectations and policies and the potential repercussions for misconduct, communication reinforces accountability and encourages individuals to make ethical choices, especially in organizations. The rules are there, the rules are there that if you fail to do this will be the repercussions for that. If you do this will be the rewards. So communication, through a communication channel, individuals get to know what the corporates and organizations expect them to do when it comes to them working for those organizations. So those 7 are the powers of effective communication and how it is able to influence attitudes and behaviors. Let us go to the next slide, which is principles of effective communication. So I'd like someone to read the first principle and then explain what they understand by that term, what that principle means. Someone, a participant to read and then explain. As we all type,
Okay, okay. I
let
want
us
to
all
read.
type clarity. Yes,
I
yes,
want
please.
to read.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
this
read
is
the
zero.
first.
This is
Zero.
zero, and the first principle is clarity.
Okay,
And
zero.
for effective communication, the message or the information should be very clear and precise.
Yes.
That is what I can say about clarity.
Thank you, Zero, for your input. Yes, it is as simple as whatever message you're communicating, it should be as clear, as simple as possible, right? Avoid using jargons and hard words. So if you're portraying a message and you want people to understand what you're saying, it is always advisable to use as clear ensure your message is as clear and concise and simple as possible. So on to I believe that is explanatory. So let us go to the second principle. Someone to read that out as we type it in the meeting chat.
Okay, I will read. The second principle is transparency.
Yes.
And for me, I can say transparency is the aspect of being open or being accessible. Thank you.
Sorry, I did not get your name.
Oh, my name is Eunice.
Yes, thank you, Eunice. And I did not get your explanation. Please come again.
I said transparency is that aspect of being open or being accessible.
Okay. Yes. Your communication should be as open and as transparent as possible. So ensure that whenever you communicate, information should be shared openly and it should be as transparent. And transparent communication involves openly discussing the ethical challenges and dilemmas faced by an organization. And you provide regular updates on progress made in upholding integrity. So whenever you communicate messages, you ensure that they are as open and as transparent as Eunice had said. So let us all type transparency as we move to the third principle. Let us all type transparency in the group chat as we move through the third principle. Someone to read the third principle out loud.
Can I please? Active listening. Active listening. This is John.
Yes,
Active
John.
listening. As far as I'm concerned, understanding is that for you to have effective communication skills, you need to be active listener because you communicate what you have heard. Communicate what you have heard. So it means that if you are not a good listener, you cannot communicate in a proper way when giving feedbacks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, John. Let us all type active listening in the group chat. And John has given the perspective of the one receiving the communication. You need to have listened to what has been said for you to give appropriate feedback as well as evaluation. So from the senders, information has two variables. There's the one who is receiving the message, then there's the one who is sending. So for the one who is sending, you need to be attentively and empathetically listen to others, right? And give individuals opportunity to express their ideas and concerns. I believe, you and I are communicating through this channel, which is Zoom. So from me, I need to, attentively listen to you and, give you a space for where you get to express your ideas and concerns, because I also get to learn from you. Because as we started this, we said that communication is the exchange of information and ideas. I know you also have ideas that I can learn from, and vice versa. So active listening is one of the principles for effective communication. If you really want to communicate and get appropriate feedback from that, you need to be attentively and empathetically listen to your audience. Right? So someone to read the fourth principle and explain what they understand.
Can I read?
Yes, please. Tell me your name and then read.
For Philip.
Yes, Philip.
Consistency. I think consistency is the ability to be able to reshare the same story afresh without omitting or adding the story, so that it can be clear enough to avoid any doubts, so that the message can be trusted, even if it is relayed once again. So thank you.
Thank you for your input, Philip. So as Philip had said, consistency in communication is important because it fosters credibility and it ensures that your message is as credible as you can. And messages should be consistent across different channels and over time to avoid confusion and ensures a unified approach. So when your message is consistent, it definitely clears the confusion that is on the way, and it also ensures a unified approach. So communication also involves consistent reinforcement of messages, ensures that individuals understand the organizational values and ethical standards through various channels. For example, a good example is having newsletters and training sessions like this one. So if we have recurrent training sessions, that would say that the message is as consistent as possible and the audience gets to understand it and it has a unified approach. Yeah, so I forgot to tell you to type that on the group chat, but I can see people typing. So as we continue typing the fourth principle, I'd like a participant to tell us the fifth principle and what they understand by that. And you also type the fifth principle on the group chat. Can I have someone to read out the fifth principle? Can I have a participant to read it out, please? As we type in the group chat.
Tailoring to audience.
Yes.
It simply means when conveying message to the audience or to any group, you should understand their needs, their character, and try and convey the message in a way that they understand or in a way that it suits them.
Yes. What's your name?
Ivy Subi.
Ivy, thank you for your input, Ivy. So it is as simple as ensuring that you consider the needs and character of your target audience. For example, if I was talking to, the older generation, I would not be using Zoom to, communicate, because that is a platform that they do not know of. So it is essential to know your audience and to understand how to, convey the message to them. Because I'm speaking to young people like I am, that is why we use platforms like Zoom and other channels that, suit my audience. So when promoting integrity messages, communication can involve tailoring messages to different stakeholder groups and to address their specific concerns and motivations. So someone to read out the sixth principle as we type it to the group chat. Someone to read the sixth principle as we type it to the group chat.
Okay, I'm going to read. My name is Eunice. Feedback.
Your name is?
Eunice.
Okay, yes, Eunice.
Feedback and evaluation.
Yes.
Yes, to me, I can say that when communication is done, the audience, maybe they get the information and then they give their feedback, what maybe they have understood or concerning what has been communicated. And maybe the one who has conveyed the communication can evaluate.
Thank you, Eunice. You're not that audible, but what I've gotten is that you need to seek feedback and evaluate the impact of your communication efforts. So that's basically what that principle means. If I, with this, through this presentation, because I am communicating to you, I'll definitely give you an assignment or two, and when you submit that assignment, that will be the feedback that I will get. That will be, the assessment that I will do to get to know whether you understood this concept. So if majority of you, get it right, then I will definitely say that our communication was effective, right? So it is important to seek feedback and evaluate the impact of your communications effort. You cannot just be speaking. And that is why I'm also, telling you to type things in the group chat, because I can, to know whether you get to hear me, to know whether I'm audible enough. In case my internet connection is not that strong, someone can type it out. Someone can tell me on the, through the group chat that I am not being heard, and that is how effective communication is achieved. So those are the 6 principles of effective communication. There are a bit more, but those are the most common ones. And as you move to the next slide, applying these principles of effective communication, companies can effectively promote integrity by ensuring clear and transparent communication, actively listening to stakeholders, and seeking feedback and evaluation. So let us move to the techniques to crafting compelling messages related to integrity and anti-corruption. So these are the 5 common ways of crafting, attractive messages. So someone to read the first technique and the explanation given there. As we chat.
So the first one is storytelling.
Yes.
So I read the description. Stories have a powerful impact on engaging audience and conveying messages related to integrity and anti-corruption.
Yes, thank you. What your name, please?
It's Philip.
Yes, thank you, Philip. So stories can evoke emotions and create empathy and demonstrate the consequences of unethical behavior. I have given an example of the story of Spencer Sankale, the Masai Mara University whistleblower, who unfortunately was fired, but he's now working under the, he was appointed by the CJ as a member of the tax appeal tribunal. His story is inspiring in that he helped a university. He helped. We got to know of his story that the university, the Masai Mara University chancellor, vice chancellor, that is, was misappropriating university funds, and that was revealed out there, and his story evoked a lot of emotions, and it really demonstrated the consequences of unethical behavior, because if the management misappropriate funds of students, that means they are not fit for those kind of offices. And at least he helped, through his story, he helped put a stop to that menace, right? Even if he was fired there, he was also appointed as a member of the tax appeal tribunal. He also has another job somewhere else. But at least for his story evoked a lot of emotions, and at least it put an end to the corruption that was going on in that university. So now things are going on well in that university. And I'd like someone to read the second technique.
I'll read the second one.
Yes.
Evidence-based arguments using factual evidence and data to support your message enhances its credibility and persuasiveness.
Yes, thank you. Your name, please?
I'm Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. So presenting statistics or case studies that promote the negative effects of corruption and the benefits of integrity can help convince audiences of the importance of anti-corruption efforts. For example, according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Kenya is losing an estimate of 608 billion annually, which translates to, that is approximately 7.8% of the country's GDP. So you can imagine we are losing all that amount of money to corruption, which, if that money was used well, it would really help. It can be used as a subsidy for program for like fuel, and if that money is used wisely, it can be channeled to ways that can help the common mwananchi. So such kind of statistics, if you present such kind of statistics and show the effects of corruption, it really convinces your audience of the importance of anti-corruption efforts. So let us go to the third technique as we type it in the group chat. Are you able to hear me? Okay. So someone to read out the third technique as we type it.
The third technique is emotional appeals.
Mm-hmm.
Appeals to emotions can be powerful in engaging audiences and motivating action.
Yes, thank you. Your name, please?
Benjamin.
Thank you, Benjamin, for reading that out. So by tapping into emotions such as empathy or hope, you can create a connection with the audience and inspire them to support integrity and anti-corruption efforts. A good example is that you can share stories of individuals who have been adversely affected by corruption. And as we all know, corruption leads to poor infrastructure, the widespread unemployment that is currently happening in our country. That is all due to corruption, because we are losing a lot of money to corruption, such that we do not have, vacancies to employ our young people. And it also, there's lack of investor confidence, because high corruption rates put off foreign investment. And it is very unfortunate when foreigners run away from our country, run away from investing in our country. So such kind of emotional appeals, make the audience, as in inspire the audience and to support integrity and anti-corruption efforts. So someone to read the fourth technique.
The fourth technique is a clear and concise messaging. Crafting messages that are clear, concise, and easily understandable is essential for effective communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name, please?
I'm Tom Nyale.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, so as Thomas has read it out, clear messages capture the audience attention. You should avoid jargons, as we explained in one of the principles of effective communication, which is clarity. We should avoid jargons at all times, especially when you're communicating integrity messages, or generally when you're communicating. You should just avoid using hard words. People tend to get confused or fail to understand your concept whenever you use hard words. So a good example of a simple sentence is that integrity builds trust, fosters fairness. You see, a simple message, a simple sentence like that has passed the message what integrity stand for, and it is as simple. We did not use hard words in that sentence, and we did not. It is just as simple as it can be. So messages, you should ensure that your messages are as simple and as clear and concise whenever you are giving out, whenever you're whenever you're crafting attractive messages for your audience. Someone to read the last technique.
Okay, we'll
This
read.
is John. Engaging visuals. Visual
Okay.
elements such as images, infographics, or video can enhance the impact of your message. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name, please?
My name's John.
Thank you, John. So visual elements such as infographics help engage the audience and make the messages more memorable. I had created one infographic and I wanted to share with you. So can the admin, stop sharing for sometimes, that I may be able to share something, please? I wanted to show you how an infographic looks like. I had created one. So just a minute. Just a minute as I look for it. Someone can explain that point, though it is self-explanatory, but you can just explain as I look for that file. I think for the interest of time, I'm not able to see where I had saved it, but I will share with you guys later. I had created an infographic that portrayed the positive outcomes of integrity, and I will share with you later because I'm not really seeing it. So let us go back. Yes.
Kindly, Madam Karas, you are saying we should explain. What are we? What were we to explain?
No, I wanted to share an infographic. I had designed an infographic. You know, that point for engaging in visuals. I wanted an example is infographic. So I wanted to show you guys how an infographic looks like, because I definitely know you know how images look like, and you have also seen videos. You know how videos look like, but I will share with you an infographic later, or it could be on our WhatsApp group chat. So I will share that later. Let us move to the next slide, which is stakeholder mapping, engaging stakeholders. And stakeholder is an individual or a group or an organization that have an interest or are affected by a particular cause. And there are three ways of identifying and involving stakeholders in an organization. So the first is stakeholder mapping. Someone to read the definition of stakeholder mapping displayed on the screen. As we type stakeholder mapping on the group chat, someone else to read that.
This is John. May I read?
Yes, please.
Stakeholder mapping. Stakeholder mapping, process of identifying stakeholders based on their interests and level of involvement in a particular issue.
Thank you, John. So basically, stakeholder mapping helps in understanding the stakeholder landscape and determine the appropriate strategies for engaging and managing relationships within different stakeholders. So stakeholder mapping is when you get to identify and categorize the relevant stakeholders. And from that, the second way is stakeholder analysis. So you assess the interest, the needs, and potential impact of stakeholders on a project. So let us all type stakeholder analysis. And stakeholder analysis involves understanding stakeholder perspectives and potential influence on decision making. And stakeholder analysis helps organizations identify potential risks, opportunities, and areas of collaboration with stakeholders. And from that, we go to constructive engagement. This refers to the process of actively involving stakeholders in decision-making processes. So you have to engage stakeholders when you want, when you want their inputs and their influence in decision making, especially when the decisions affect, a larger group of people. So you first identify the stakeholders and then analyze, and assess their interests and needs, and then now involve them in constructive engagement. And constructive engagement also involves transparent communication, active listening, and incorporating stakeholder perspectives into decision making. So how many principles are there? How many principles have been mentioned there? in the constructive engagement part, there have been principles of effective communication which have been mentioned there. That is active listening and transparent communication. The transparency that we were talking about.
So it is 7 principles.
Yes.
7 principles.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, there were 7
Are
principles.
we supposed to mention?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm asking how many principles have been mentioned in this statement. It involves transparent communication, active listening, and incorporating stakeholder perspectives into decision making. How many principles have been mentioned there? There are 2, right? There's transparent.
2.
Yes.
Yes.
Transparent communication.
Transparent and actively
listening. Yes. So as you can see, the principles are being mentioned everywhere because they are the.
There are two principles have been mentioned in that. Huh?
Yes. Let us all type into the group chat how many principles have been mentioned in constructive engagement as the admin rolls out onto the next slide, which will focus on key steps involved in constructive engagement. Number 1 is identify stakeholders. Mapping and analyzing stakeholders, you need to understand their interest and their potential impact, right? And the second key is prioritizing stakeholders, determining the level of importance and influence of different stakeholders to prioritize engagement efforts. You need to prioritize, you need to identify your stakeholders and then prioritize them when it comes to, you need to prioritize them by determining the influence when it comes to promoting integrity and combating corruption. The key step number 3 is developing engagement. I can see developing engagement strategies. I can see the word engagement has been misspelled. So I'd like you to write the correct word, the correct spelling of the word engagement into the chat box, please. And I'm sorry for that. So you also need to design appropriate strategies and approaches when it comes to engaging with different stakeholders. So the 4th key step is engaging stakeholders. You need to actively involve your stakeholders in decision-making processes. You need to seek their input and address their concerns. So you need to actively involve them and seek their input and address their concerns. The key step number 5 is building relationships. You need to establish and maintain positive and collaborative relationships with stakeholders through open and transparent communication and mutual respect. So you need to establish and maintain a good, positive, and collaborative relationship with your stakeholders. And then the last point is monitoring and evaluation. So that basically involves continuously assessing the effectiveness of your stakeholder engagement efforts, right? So those are the key steps involved in constructive engagement with your stakeholders. Admin, to roll out the next slide, please. Thank you. So there are we are now building coalitions and alliances. So what do you understand by the term building coalitions and alliances. I'd like someone to explain what they understand by that, those two concepts, and let us write that in the group chat, building coalitions and alliances. As we wait for someone to participant to explain what they understand by the term building coalition and alliances.
Let me try according to my understanding.
Yes, please.
And this is John. The way I understand it means that bringing unity from different groups, That's how I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, well, it's basically forming partnerships and collaborations with like-minded stakeholders. So there's that, you've said bringing unity. So that is basically to say forming partnerships and collaborations with like-minded stakeholders. The two concepts are different, but also distinct. No, they're different, but that not that they are kind of related, but they're still different, because in terms of their purpose and structure, because collisions typically means coming together around a specific issue, while alliances are broader partnerships that can be formed for various reasons, such as sharing resources. And when it comes to structure, collisions tend to be more formal and structured. They are formal and structured, whereas on the other hand, alliances tend to be more informal and flexible in structure. But those two amplify the impact of stakeholders by pooling resources, expertise, and influence. So they both form partnerships and collaborations between organizations and also individuals. So there are key points to consider when building coalitions and alliances. So want to read the first point as we type it in the group chat?
The first point is identify common goals. So this is where different maybe partners or parties come together and maybe to implement a common agenda.
Yes, that simply means that stakeholders who share similar goals come together and implement something, a certain strategy. The second point, someone to read the second point.
Establish trust and shared values.
So it is important to align on key principles and approaches to ensure a strong foundation for collaboration. Building trust and establishing shared values is crucial among the coalition or the alliances. So it is important to ensure you have a strong basis for collaboration. The key point number 3, someone to read that aloud.
Find roles and responsibilities.
Yes, it is important to consider defining roles and responsibilities, because this will ensure clarity and accountability. This may include, identifying which tasks are given to who, and decision-making processes within the coalition, and who makes the decisions when it comes to what. So it is also important, it is an important factor to define the roles and responsibilities while building or forming partnerships and collaborations. Point number 4.
Develop a shared responsibilities.
Yeah. It is actually supposed to be developed a shared strategy. It's supposed to be developed a shared strategy, not responsibilities, my bad. So let us write it down. Let us write that down into the group chat. Develop a shared strategy. So collaboratively develop a strategy that outlines the collective actions and objectives of the coalition. And the strategy should reflect, the shared interest of the coalition and alliance members. So it is important to develop a shared strategy within the coalition members so that you may have improved decision making and accountability. So point number 5, someone to read point number 5.
Communication
Communication.
and coordination.
Yes.
Communication and coordination.
Yes. So effective communication and coordination are essential for a successful coalition building. You definitely have, communication plays a major role because it is the platform or the pivot of, sharing or conveying messages to the other coalition members. So if the leader decides to, call out for a meeting with the other coalition members, that is the message that will be conveyed to the others for them to come for that meeting, so that they may have, so that they may probably give, or rather, so that they may have, decision making, so that they may have effective decision making in that meeting or whatever. So communication and coordination is very essential when it comes to building relationships and partnerships, as well as collaborations. I hope that is clear. You need to also establish regular communication channels and mechanisms for sharing information. So that is very essential. You need to communicate when it comes to building coalitions. Lazima mkuje pamoja na muamue kuendanisha pamoja, and that is through communication. Someone to read point number 6.
Mobilize resources. This is to identify all the relevant resources that is being required for coalition to run effectively in order to avoid some coalition constraint from constraining while working.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that is basically identifying and mobilizing the necessary resources, whether it's financial or technical or human resources, to support the coalition's activities. That is where you get to employ people to, ask people for funds or even technical support when it comes to improve the coalition's activities. Someone to read point number 7.
Number 7, that will be engage in advocacy and lobbying.
Yes, coalitions and alliances can have a stronger voice when advocating for change. So engage in advocacy efforts such as policy advocacy, public campaigns, or even lobbying to drive change, to drive systemic change. We'll get to look at that point in the next slide, because we'll be dealing with advocacy, some of the common advocacy strategies that coalitions and alliances use. So that point will be majorly dealt on in the next slide. So someone to read the last point. Someone to read the last point?
Evaluate and adapt.
Yes.
Evaluate and adapt.
Yes, thank you. So regularly evaluate the progress and the impact of the coalition's activities. So whenever you have a coalition coming together, you need to evaluate whether you're still on the right path or you have started digressing to other activities. It is important to, follow the progress or rather to have a roadmap of what the coalition or alliance is about and ensure that you constantly evaluate and see the impact of the activities. Someone to read that note, the NB, a very critical note.
This is John.
Yes, John, please.
Building coalition and alliances allows stakeholders to leverage their collective power and resources to drive change and address complex issues collectively. It fosters collaboration, shared learning, reach broader audiences, and work towards common goal in promoting integrity, ethical behavior, and combating corruption. Thank you.
Yes, so coalitions and alliances, it is important to leverage their collective power and resources, for systematic change. And that is all for building coalitions and alliances. And moving on to advocacy strategies and tactics. So there's the key point number 6 in the last slide, key point number 7, engaging in advocacy and lobbying will be explained more in this slide. So these 5 are some of the common advocacy strategies that we have around and which are mostly used by coalitions and alliances or stakeholders and organizations when it comes to driving systematic change or having effective decision-making processes. So someone to read the first strategy as we type it down in the group chat.
Lobbying, direct engagement with lawmakers to influence legislation.
Yes, so that is basically what lobbying means. It allows for targeted and focused advocacy efforts, leveraging relationships and expertise to shape specific outcomes. And an example is there's a company called Transparency International, and it is known for the adoption and implementation of the UNCAC. There's something called UNCAC, that is United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and that institution really advocates for the adoption and implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and it is involved in lobbying governments and policy makers to enforce the convention. So that is one of the examples. And its strength is that it can shape a specific outcome, because if Transparency International start lobbying in governments to enforce the UN Convention Against Corruption, that means more people will be inspired to be integral, to uphold integrity in their work institutions, as well as and that will help curb corruption and other vices that happen in the world. So that is one of the advocacy strategies which is mostly used. Lobbying, that is direct engagement with policymakers to influence legislation. Someone to read the second advocacy. Someone to read the second advocacy, please.
Public awareness campaign. Raise awareness that is destroying the difficult to capture public attention limitation.
Yes, let us type those two. No, let us type public awareness campaigns in the group chat. Public awareness campaign. So the campaigns basically aim to raise awareness and mobilize public support around a specific issue. You know, like for example, there's an initiative in India that is called I Paid a Bribe, and it was led by civil society organizations where they used a website and mobile app to encourage citizens to report incidents of bribery. And it is really effective in India. So that is one of them. That is one of the examples where public awareness campaigns is achieved as an advocacy strategy. So in India, they have that website called I Paid a Bribe, where the public was made aware of the prevalence of corruption, and they started advocating for systemic change. However, there is the limitation of they may face challenges in capturing and sustaining public attention. Also, lobbying, I remember I didn't mention the limitation of lobbying, whereby it can be resource intensive and may require extensive knowledge of the legislative process. In the limitation of the public awareness campaigns is that it's difficult to capture public attention. Like, for example, you can create a good website where people report corruption cases, but it will pose as a challenge to actually make the public aware of the system. For example, the EACC has a system in their website where people get to report corruption cases, but not many people are making use of that system simply because they are not aware. And the EACC is finding it difficult to capture public attention and create awareness that they can use that system for corruption cases reports. So that poses a challenge, but it is still doable. It does not mean that because it is difficult, it's not doable. So that is the challenge that most campaigns face. Let us go to point number 3. The third strategy. Someone to read it out aloud.
Coalition building.
Yes.
Coalition building.
Yes, thank you. Building coalitions, as you have just mentioned in the previous slide, it allows collective action and amplifies advocacy efforts by bringing together diverse stakeholders to achieve a common goal. So coalitions can leverage shared resources and networks in order to achieve, a common goal, or in order to make effective decision making. And a good example is an initiative called Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. It's called EITI, and it is a global coalition of governments and companies which advocate for transparency and accountability in the extractive sector. The extractive sector is the sector that deals with oil, gas, and mineral resources. So EITI has successfully influenced global standards and practices related to natural resource governance. So that is a good example of this strategy, but it also has its own limitation, whereby coalition building requires careful coordination and it poses a challenge to all because it is difficult to maintain cohesion. It is very difficult to maintain cohesion and equal representation among coalition members. So that is the challenge that this strategy comes along with. But as I said earlier, it is doable. It does not mean that because it has limitations, it is not doable. Let us go to the fourth strategy. Someone to read the fourth strategy?
Legal advocacy.
Yeah, so legal advocacy basically involves using legal mechanisms to advance a cause, such as it basically involves using legal mechanisms to advance a certain cause. It can bring about systemic change and establish legal precedents. That is the strength, that is the advantage of legal advocacy. And a good example is the Center for Reproductive Rights engages in legal advocacy to promote and advance reproductive rights globally. So that is one of the good examples where an organization such as the Center for Reproductive Rights gets to establish legal precedents when it comes to advocating for healthy reproductive rights. And of course, the limitation of legal advocacy is that it is expensive and it is time consuming. It's very expensive to advocate for legal reforms and provide legal support. And the fifth advocacy strategy is grassroots mobilization. And this involves organizing and mobilizing individuals at the community level. A good example is the Black Lives Matter movement in the US that aims, because it's still there, that aims to combat racial injustice and police violence. And it also mobilizes individuals and communities through protest, educational campaigns, and community organization. So the Black Lives Matter initiative is a good example of a grassroots mobilization because people on the ground are the ones that use their voices to highlight the challenges that they experience when it comes to police violence and combating racial injustice. And of course, the disadvantage of this strategy is that it requires significant time, effort, and community engagement. And inclusivity can be a bit challenging because you really need to do a lot of research to get to know where, as in, you need to, it is very time consuming to go and get the members of the public from, all areas, ensure that inclusivity is considered. It kind of poses a challenge, but those are the 5 advocacy strategies and tactics that are mostly used when it comes to providing systemic change. So the next slide, I meant to give an exercise, but due to the interest of time, I will give that as an assignment. I will give that as an assignment, and I hope Miriam is noting that down, or the admin. I will give that as an assignment. I had planned that for a group activity, but due to the interest of time, that will be a takeaway assignment. It's only 3 scenarios where members will divide themselves into groups and then participate in the 3 scenarios. So the last, let's deal with this is the second last slide, engaging the media. And so let us learn about the role of media in promoting integrity. So the first role of media in promoting integrity, someone to read that aloud and then the rest to type it in the group chat.
Number one is investigative reporting.
Yes, investigative reporting. So media outlets can conduct in-depth investigations to uncover corrupt practices and expose them to when he was still in Citizen TV. And then there are other examples of investigative journalists like Dennis Okari and the famous Jichopevu, who was the renowned journalist for Jichopevu.
Mohammed Ali.
Yes, Mohammed Ali. So investigative reporting is one of the roles that media play when it comes to promoting integrity, because they help create awareness and put pressure on the relevant authorities to take action. So the second role, someone to read the second role, and then let us type it on the group chat, please.
The second role is transparency and accountability.
Yes, thank you. Let us type that into the group chat. I've realized that people have stopped typing. Transparency and accountability. So media can act as a watchdog, holding public officials and institutions accountable for their actions. And by reporting on corruption cases and advocating for transparency, media can help create an environment where corruption is less likely to occur. One thing about the media is that it really helps accountable to relevant leaders, because it's either they call you out for an interview and ask you questions, and through that, it really acts as a watchdog between the leaders and the public. So that is one of the pivotal role which media plays when it comes to promoting integrity. The third role, someone to read the third role, and then let us type it down.
Public awareness and education.
Yes, thank you. Let us write that down. So the media plays a pivotal role in educating the public about the detrimental effects of corruption. Through news articles, documentaries, and opinion pieces, media can raise awareness and encourage citizens to take a stand against corruption. Majority of the information about corruption cases, we majorly get them from media. So that means it really plays a critical role when it comes to public awareness and education in matters corruption. Let us read someone to read the fourth role for us.
Maybe I can do it. Advocacy and public influence.
Advocacy and
policy influence.
Yes. Thank you. So media outlets. Yes.
I was internalizing the point. It's so rich, huh? It's very rich, very rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can give us an insight on that. As we type it down, let us type point number 4. Let us type point number 4 in the group chat.
You are saying I should give some insights on it?
Yes. Give us your input on it. How you understand?
Okay. From point number 1 to number 3, point number 4 had carried it all, because if you say investigating, reporting, transparency, public awareness, we can do all this in engage with the media, but do we have a document that is the policy which can influence all what we are trying to put forward? We can do advocacy, but what document can we use to do all this advocacy. So all in all, I think the point of policy has really been highlighted, and I think, in my view, that all the 4 points are really carried by the point number 4.
Thank you. Your name, please?
My name is Zero.
Oh, thank you, Zero, for your input. So yeah, you're right. Point number 4 carries the weight of the 3, and it's because the media can use their platforms to advocate for stronger and anti-corruption measures and policies. And they can achieve this by highlighting successful initiatives and best practices on how they can shape the conversation around corruption. And they always do this. They always create a platform where members of the public get to influence, they can influence the public opinion when it comes to corruption. When they air out an investigative report on a corruption case, the people, it really evokes emotions, different emotions in the members of the public, and people really, want to, people always want, justice to take its course whenever an investigative report is aired. For example, the case about Spencer Sankale, when he shared when he reported the corruption cases that goes around the university, the members of the public were, they were out there, emphasizing on the DCI to take action and to, arrest all those people. Everybody was on social media crying, and and at least the officers had the public outcry and took action. The police took action of that matter because people really were shaped. The media helped influence the public opinion, and people wanted, justice to take its course when that corruption case was highlighted. So those 4 are the major roles of media when promoting integrity and combating corruption. So tips for effectively engaging with the media. The first tip is that you need to build relationships. You need to establish relationships with journalists and media outlets. You need to attend press conferences, media events, and build connections with the reporters who cover your area of expertise. It is really essential to have a good media relationships with journalists. It is not wrong to have, phone numbers of several journalists. So if I may ask, how many people have phone numbers? You can raise your hand in the meeting group chat if you have a phone number of a journalist. How many people have phone numbers of journalists? There's none. Okay. Well, I do. At least I have 2. Yeah, at least. Yeah, I can see you have phone numbers of journalists, it is a good practice to have a journalist contact. Another tip is that you need to be prepared at all times before engaging with the media. Ensure that you are well prepared. When you're called to, to give your insights and it's on the media, you need to at least be prepared and get to know what you're going to say. You need to be, you need to at least have something in your head because you're going to speak in front of people. Familiarize yourself with the topic at hand and gather relevant data and facts and anticipate potential questions. This will help you deliver accurate and concise information. The third point is that you need to craft clear and compelling messages. When communicating with the media, it is important to deliver your message in a clear and concise manner. Use simple language. I'm repeating this for the 100th time. You need to use simple language, avoid jargon, avoid complex words, and focus on key points. It is also necessary to focus on the key points. You don't need to be too wordy. Like if you have noticed, my presentation is focusing on the key points. Whenever you have like 4 points, and then I now explain what the 4 points mean. So it is essential to have to craft a clear and attractive message in a way that resonates with the target audience and captures your audience attention, because that is necessary. The fourth tip is that you need to be accessible and responsive. Journalists work on a tight deadlines, we all know that, right? So it is essential to be accessible and responsive to their inquiries. If they call you at night for some information, you need to be quick to respond and reply to their emails promptly when need be, and provide relevant information whenever they ask So the fifth tip is that you need to be authentic and transparent. You build trust with the media and the public. Building trust with the media and the public requires authenticity and transparency. You need to be honest. That is, be an integral individual, admit mistakes if they occur, and provide accurate information. And the last tip is that you need to use social media. Utilize social media platforms to engage with the media and share your messages. So whenever you watch news, I especially watch the 9 p.m. bulletin. They always tell us to use their handles while speaking to them. They might give a hashtag, like for example, today is Friday, so on Citizen TV they'll have a hashtag Friday Night Live whenever you want to give out your message. So if you use the hashtag Friday Night on Twitter, that is currently known as X, they will be able to read your message. So if you use that hashtag, you can craft a compelling message and then use that hashtag and then send it to their Twitter handle, and then they'll be able to read it out, because social media nowadays is an important and powerful tool for reaching a wider audience, and most people will get to read your message out, and it will have landed in the safe hands. So that's why they make use of hashtags, and they give out their social media handles for you to follow and engage with them on there. So those are the tips for effectively engaging with the media, and there are 6 of them. These case studies, I only have case studies here. There are 3. We'll be reading one each. This is the last slide, by the way. We'll be reading each, and then the admin will go back to the advocacy strategies, and then we'll be able to say which strategy has been used in this case study, right? So I'd like one of us to read the first case study, and then the admin will go back to the slide which had advocacy strategies, and then we'll say which strategy was used in this case study. Yes, there. So let us go to that the case studies. So case study number 1, I'd like someone to read case study number 1, and then we'll go back to the advocacy strategies and say which advocacy strategy was used in case study number 1. So I'd like someone to read case study number 1, please. We have 4 minutes till to go, so let us be quick. Someone to read case study number 1.
Let me read. This is John.
Yes,
In the early 2000s, Enron, once a highly respected energy company, faced a massive accounting scandal. Sharon Watkins, an Enron executive, played a pivotal role in exposing the fraudulent practices within the company. She wrote an anonymous letter to the Enron and on the then CEO Kenneth Lay, detailing the unethical financing manipulation taking place.
Yes, thank you. So with that case study, which advocacy strategy was used? John.
Oh, we are waiting for the admin to go back to the advocacy page.
Now they are there.
So that we can relate.
The admin already has taken us back to the strategies. Which do you think was the strategy that was used? Yes, John?
I think it is legal advocacy. That's according to me, but I don't know if I'm right.
Why do you think it's legal advocacy?
Because of the legal establishment of the precedents.
Mm.
That's according to me, but I don't think I'm right. I'm really doubting it because I personally haven't understood it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Somebody else to give it a try? But that actually, with case study number one, Sharon Watkins, that mean to go back to the case studies, Sharon Watkins was the whistleblower for that scandal that was happening in that company, right? So Sharon Watkins played the role of a whistleblower when it comes to, in exposing the practices, the fraudulent practices that were happening in their company. And that will be public awareness campaign. That will be answered by the public awareness campaign, right? They used that advocacy strategy for case study number one. Case study number two, someone to read case study number two. Case study number two. Case study number two, please. You're running out of time. Are people still there?
Okay, I will read.
Yes.
Volvo has long been an advocate for automotive safety. They introduced the three-point seatbelt, one of the most significant safety innovation in the automotive industry. In 1959, Volvo made the patent for this invention open and available to other automakers, prioritizing safety over profit.
Okay. Thank you for reading that. So let me go back to the advocacy strategies and tactics. And could you tell us which advocacy strategy was used there? Yes, Eunice.
Well, I think it's collision building. Collision building.
Coalition building. Okay. Yes, because Volvo wanted to achieve the common goal of prioritizing safety over profit for their invention of introducing the 3-point seat belt. Okay. And also public awareness, because they made aware to the other automakers of their invention, and that they were willing to share the invention with them. So that can also lie of this case study achieved the two advocacy strategies, which is public awareness campaigns as well as coalition building. Someone to read case study number 3 as we wind up. Somebody to read case number 3. Somebody to please read case number 3. We're running out of time here. Okay, let me read it then. Transparency International, a global anti-corruption organization, played a critical role in advocating for integrity in the aftermath of the Panama Papers leak. The leak exposed widespread corruption and tax evasion facilitated by offshore shell companies. So which advocacy strategy was used there? Which advocacy strategy was used there? Well, due to the interest of time, I would say the legal advocacy strategy was used in case study number 3, because they used the court, the way of court to advocate they used the judicial system to advance their social change goal, which was to expose, which was to advocate for integrity after the Panama Papers leak aftermath. So these 3 case studies are good examples of how advocacy strategies and tactics are being used out here to uphold integrity in organizations, as well as combat corruption and other vices. So, on to the last slide. Thank you so much for attending this session and for interacting with me. Due to the interest of time, I will let you guys ask only 2 questions if there are, and we call it a day. The assignments I will send them to the WhatsApp wall, because there are only 3. I need you to have 3 scenarios, to create 3 scenarios. So I will send the assignment to the groups. So this is the chance to ask any questions if there are. If they are not, let us call it a day, and thank you so much for being here. Do you have any questions for me? Do you have any questions for me?
For me, I don't have a question, but a word of comment. Thank you very much for your facilitation. I'm very glad for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that comment. Any other? well. If there are no questions, let us type into the group chat. Thank you.